Shirota is a shy loser who accidentally sees the school's most popular girl stripping. However, when she finds out, she allows him to do degenerate stuff to her in exchange for keeping her secret. At the start, when Shirota decides to spend some alone time in the school's equipment room because he has no friends to hang out with. Just then, he hears someone open the door, and it's Takamine, the most popular girl in his school. As he hides from her, Takamine suddenly starts taking her plot armor off, and Shirota decides to stay hidden because he doesn't want to be labeled as a creep. He then gives in to temptation and looks over, only to get an uncensored view of her planetary bodies.
Damn!
After changing her plot covers, Takamine casually leaves the room, but Shirota busts a fat one because he saw her in high definition. Later in class, the teacher starts distributing test results, and Shirota barely gets passing marks.
Only language you speak is failure!
Afterward, Takamine learns that she didn't score full marks. The whole class fell silent. This is the first time she has scored less than perfect. Then suddenly, Takamine removes her plot cover and displays her juicy cakes to the whole class. And Shirota cannot understand why she started acting like a hoe. Before he can say anything, he gets a strange feeling and finds himself back at the beginning of class when his teacher called him out to take his test result. Shirota is confused because he already had it, but then he realizes he must have been dreaming. Afterward, it's Takamine's turn to get her test results again. But unlike in his dream, this time she scores a full 100%. Later, he decides to ask her if what he saw was real and heads to the student council office. When he confronts her, she immediately asks him if he told anyone else, but Shirota assures her that no one knows besides him. She then pins him against the wall and asks him if he saw her plots, but Shirota goes speechless. Seeing his reaction, she tells him she wants to talk and offers him water to calm him down. Shirota is so nervous that he spills the water, but she dodges it and asks him to relax. She then opens her shirt and takes her plot off, which makes Shirota experience the same feeling he did in class. The next moment, he looks at Takamine and sees her drenched in the water he spilled, even though he saw her dodging it just a second ago. She then commands him to grab a towel and wipe it off her melons, and Shirota nervously abides because he's a wuss. While he's at it, she asks him to notice something different about her, but when Shirota can't feel it, she grabs his hand and makes him squeeze her pom-poms. Shirota still can't understand because all the blood has left his brain to the south, so she kicks him in the family jewels and starts dissing him for being an idiot. She finally tells him that she was wearing a plot cover a moment ago, but it's no longer there because of her ability called the Eternal Virgin Road. She further explains that she can take off her plot cover to undo time, which is what she just did to make the water spill on her. Additionally, those who have seen her juicy melons retain their memories of the events, and that's why Shirota remembers her being a hoe in class. As Shirota grasps that she's a complete psycho, Takamine continues that she is in constant need of new plot covers every time she uses her powers. Thus, she asks Shirota to become her walk-in closet and help her change any time she needs a new set. But Shirota refuses to accept because he's a virgin. Just as he's walking away, Takamine blocks the door and he somehow ends up on top of her. She then grabs his hand and places it on top of her jug, right before screaming at the top of her lungs. Suddenly, the other students rush into the room, and Takamine tells them that Shirota tried to steal her V card. Not long after, the police show up to arrest him, but he knows Takamine can undo the whole thing by using her powers. As he turns to her, she boldly asks him to swear that he'll become her closet, and once Shirota agrees, she uses her powers to turn back time. After that, Shirota is alone in the room with Takamine, and she tells him to put her plot armor on her as his first task. Since he has no other choice, Shirota does as asked, but closes his eyes in the process. The following day, Shirota dreams about getting freaky with Takamine, only for the police to arrest him for harassment. After waking up from this nightmare, he checks his phone and sees that Takamine has sent him some early morning goon material, which makes him blush. Later, he walks to school, wondering what Takamine has in store for him today, and he still can't believe the thick goddess of his school has turned him into her personal closet. Just then, Takamine passes by him and says she wants to meet him in the student council room, and the guys around him can't believe she is talking to an ugly loser like him. Once there, Shirota gets off upon seeing her juicy drumsticks and asks her what she wanted to talk about. Takamine then hands him a bag full of her plot covers, stating that this is her ammo for the day and he must carry it at all times so she can use her powers freely. She adds that he must reload her after she uses her ability, even if they are in the middle of the class. When he insists that they reload during break, Takamine explains to him that she must have her powers ready at all times because anything can happen at any time. When Shirota hesitates, she reminds him that she can always revert to the time he was arrested and even offers to let him see her melon farm again as a reward. She then pushes him down and gets on top of him, suggesting that she might let him crank it if he acts like a good boy. When Shirota begs her to stop messing with him, she gets off and wishes he would stop acting like a wuss. She then gets all shy and says it's embarrassing for her to act this way around another guy, but she feels alright doing it with him. Shirota claims she won't give 2 forks if he died tomorrow, so Takamine immediately switches back to her sassy mode and admits it's hard to manipulate a guy like him. With that, Shirota turns to leave, but Takamine reminds him that he has to return her bag after school, even though he's tempted to take it home and bust one to them. Later in class, the teacher asks her to read a poem, and she reads it flawlessly, which puts Shirota at ease because she won't use her ability. Seconds later, a gust of wind enters the class, and the teacher asks a student to close the window. Suddenly, Takamine stands up and tells Shirota that she wants him to reload her quickly because she is going to use her powers. Soon after, the time reverts to before she read the poem, and this time, she waits for the gust of wind to enter the class. With the ambience set, Takamine rereads the poem, but this time, she switches the entire mood of the class, making everyone clap for her. Afterward, she mischievously looks at Shirota, and the guy realizes it's time for him to perform his closet duties. The guy starts to panic because they're surrounded by everyone in class, but he has no other choice but to do as asked. Takamine then throws her eraser on the floor and pretends as if it belongs to Shirota, so he can pretend to pick it back up and reload her in the process. With his heart racing, he decides it's best if he just acts casual, so he summons all of his courage and approaches Takamine. He then slowly puts them up to her thighs and quickly returns to his seat, relieved that no one saw him doing it. After class, Shirota is relieved it's finally over, but then he looks at Takamine and sees that he didn't reload her properly, and she's moving her legs to adjust. This makes him panic, especially when Takamine gives him another playful look, hinting that she wants him to help her. He also notices that the teacher is calling students to return their tests, and if Takamine gets called like this, she will surely drop her plot armor, since she can always send him back to the time he got arrested. Shirota starts to sweat and realizes he must do something. When the teacher calls Takamine's name, he quickly stands up and pretends that he misheard the teacher calling his name instead. The teacher then tells him to return Takamine's paper to her since he's already there. So he returns to her desk and does as asked. Just as he's about to leave, Takamine locks her legs around him and tells him that he must put them on properly, which makes him nervous. He then uses his knee to push the plot cover into place, but Takamine suddenly starts to feel a little moist. When the teacher calls Shirota's name, he suddenly turns around, which makes his knee brush off against Takamine's no-no zone, and this makes her slip out a happy noise. After class, they meet at the student council room, where Takamine admits she took it too far and apologizes for it. Shirota asks what would have happened if she had walked to the teacher herself, and Takamine says she knew Shirota wouldn't let that happen. She then asks him why he saved her, asking if he didn't want anyone else to see her plot armor. Shirota remembers her saying how embarrassed it would be for her if someone else saw it. So when he asks what she would feel if that was true, Takamine says it would make her really happy that he's protective of her. Shirota starts blushing and asks why she made a happy noise earlier, and she strictly denies doing so. The following day, the teacher asks Takamine to bring the assignments to his office, but a couple of thirsty fanboys offer to help, saying it'll be too heavy for her. However, she suddenly starts taking off her plot armor and asks Shirota if he has failed to grasp who he is now. After she reverts time, Shirota realizes she had asked him to follow her wherever she goes, so he quickly offers to help her. Later, she scolds him because she had to waste a pair due to his incompetence, and makes him apologize as he reloads her. Afterward, they begin walking to the teacher's office, but a bunch of students offer to carry Takamine's half of the notebooks. This makes Shirota realize she's treated as a goddess here, and everything must be a walk in the park for her. He then sees Takamine reject their help and makes small talk with them regarding their personal interests, and this makes Shirota realize she keeps track of everyone and their hobbies. Later, Takamine teaches Shirota that he must accompany her wherever she goes in school, and calls him an idiot for not picking that up sooner. As they continue walking, Shirota asks her how he handled all those people, and Takamine says it's because she is a good student council president. He's also impressed that she knew the names of all those people who surrounded her, and Takamine reveals she memorized everyone the same day she became president. She adds that since everyone knows her name because of her role, it is unfair to the others that she doesn't show them the same respect. As they continue walking, Shirota admits he was under the impression that Takamine is popular because she's got a thick GAT, when in reality she's worked really hard to be where she is today. Later on, Takamine reveals that she has memorized a general profile of all the students as well, and this includes Shirota as well. She then lists all the things she knows about him, including the fact that he's a weak-willed, has low self-esteem, little ambition, and is practically useless at everything he does, much like an average Annie Skull viewer.
Only language you speak is failure.
As she continues talking about some of his personal things, Shirota panics and asks if she did all that research for everyone. Takamine suddenly glares at him and asks why he assumed she would treat him any differently than anyone else, adding that he needs to keep his ego in check. She then categorizes him as a self-centered closet creep, reminding him that he was gooning to her rack in the gym equipment room just the other day. She then wonders why he hasn't peeked at her ever since, and Shirota says it's because she doesn't want him to. As he begins walking, she kicks him in the leg and towers over him, asking if he would look at her if she said she didn't mind. Suddenly, she mounts him and demands that he look at her, which makes Shirota feel funny in his pickle. She then presses her jugs on him and asks how he feels about her, but Shirota pushes him aside, saying he would only look at her if they were dating. Takamine begins to laugh, because she didn't expect such a response, and then asks if he daydreams about going out with her. Shirota yells that he doesn't because he's scared, but Takamine walks away, saying she wouldn't have minded even if he said yes. Shirota is confused and tries to follow her, only to slip and come crashing down the stairs. Soon after, he wakes up in the infirmary in Takamine's lab and panics, but she asks him to relax and explains that he fell. She used her powers to reverse time, but he stayed unconscious afterward, so she brought him here. She then pushes his face into her thick drumsticks and tells him to rest a little more while she reevaluates his profile. This time, she calls him a low self-esteem, cowardly, and fake gentleman virgin, along with an absurdly upstanding person. She then reminds him that she hasn't reloaded after using her powers, so he must not peek at her roasted beef. Shirota then realizes that he missed his gym class, but then realizes it's no big deal because he's not much of a runner anyway. Takamine calls him out for his lack of ambition, but when Shirota says he wouldn't mind being the best at least one thing, she decides to help him. Soon after, she holds her own gym class and makes the boys race, but Shirota is in last place as usual. She then stops him mid-lap and pushes him closer, angrily telling him to fix his form and relax his shoulders, since she coached him. She wants him to come in first place, but he disappoints her by not even finishing the race. At that moment, Takamine starts unplotting herself and declares that they will redo it until he gets it right. This brings them to the start of the race, so Takamine tells him to hurry up because he needs to reload her after finishing. During the race, Takamine cheers the boys on a bike and stands up, making Shirota realize everyone would peek at her buns if she continues. He doesn't want others to enjoy the view, so Shirota pulls off a miraculous feat by running at the speed of the bike so he can block the view with his body. In the end, he finishes in first place and collapses on the floor, but Takamine recharges him by giving him a good view of her roasted beef and orders him to reload her. Afterward, she asks him how he feels, and Shirota admits that although he's exhausted, he's happy that he finished the race. She emphasizes the fact that he scored first, but Shirota was so mesmerized by her cakes that he didn't even realize it. He then takes a moment to reflect that he scored first and admits that he's really happy about it, and his honest reaction makes Takamine smile. After that, Takamine heads home, but forgets to take her bag of plot covers, so she calls Shirota to let him know that she is going for her night jog. Shirota wonders if he should return the bag right now because her place is near, but then realizes she might be testing him, as she never asked him to help. Suddenly, she sends him a picture of herself and says she's going commando today, which makes the guy panic. When she sends him another picture outside, he sees a guy gawking at her in the background and gets anxious that she might get diddled with. A few minutes later, Takamine is sitting alone at the park bench waiting for Shirota to show up, but then she realizes he might not come and decides to text him that he can return the bag tomorrow, right before she sends it. Shirota comes running in, which makes her blush, but she shakes it off by calling him Slota for being late. She then asks why he came even though she never asked him to, and Shirota admits he was worried for her safety. For a moment, Takamine drops her holier-than-thou act and thanks him for being kind, right before shifting to her sassy self again. She then takes the bag back and starts walking with a gentle smile, and Shirota decides to walk her home. The following day at swimming class, Takamine shows her how bendy she is by setting a record time, which shocks Shirota, because the previous record was held by a professional swimmer. Just then, Takamine tells him she wants to redo it and reverts time to the start of the race. She then redoes the whole thing with backstrokes, and Shirota's heart begins to race when he sees her complete package demonstrating jiggle physics. After the race is over, Shirota tries to skedaddle, but she stops him, wondering why he's not questioning her decision to redo the race. Shirota nervously says he didn't have time, but Takamine tells him anyway that she just wanted to look more flashy. She then asks which method impressed him the most, but Shirota freezes because he doesn't want to tell her he was thirsting over her melons during the backstroke. When she calls him a sussy boy, Shirota nervously deflects by asking how she used her powers without any undies, so she hints that she used something else. He then ogles her jugs and realizes she used one of her pasties, which makes him go red. As he turns to hide the excitement in his little Johnny, Takamine whispers in his ear that he must not go home early after classes, before casually walking away. She then takes him shopping to a very plot-heavy section of the store, and Shirota is confused as to why she brought him here. She says she's running out of stock and wants to buy new ones before quickly flashing two to him, which makes him nervous. She asks why he's acting shy when this is his favorite place in the world, but Shirota argues that he only came here because she made him. To tease him further, Takamine asks him to pick a pair that would look the best on her because he's the one who'd be putting them on her every time. With no other choice, Shirota closes his eyes and picks one at random, but he ends up choosing the freakiest pair in the whole section. Takamine starts teasing him for being a gooner, so he controls his inner panic and starts looking through other pairs that would suit her. After some thinking about Takamine's personality, he ends up picking one in blue. He claims he picked it at random. Takamine then says she'll have to try them on, but she forces him to tag along because he'll be the one putting them on her. She then forces him to his knees and tells him she's wearing thicker thighs today, which means he can't peep even if he wants to. Shirota is bricked, but he tries hard to compose himself and help her try on the new pair, only for her to bend and let him see it from the back. After she brings her buns closer to his face, Shirota hits sensory overload and passes out like a true virgin. Later, Takamine teases him by implying that he must have passed out because he's sick, even though she knows it was because of her. As they take the lift, she asks again why he picked a blue one, and Shirota says it was random. However, she pins him against the wall and demands that he tell her. So Shirota admits she reminds him of the blue sky and the ocean because of her high echelon. At this, Takamine suddenly walks out of the lift without giving him any reaction, and he chases after her to ask if she doesn't like them. Takamine says she won't be wearing them, but not because she doesn't like them, but because she doesn't want to waste them on her powers. The next day, Shirota starts showing signs of fever, so when the classes end, he decides to go home early. Takamine notices him limping and decides to walk him home, but then she welcomes herself into his room and notices that his room is very neat compared to his life, which is a mess. She then starts looking for some corn on his computer, but the only thing he goons to is Takamine's Rule 34. He then asks her why she's here, and she says she's making sure her closet is well maintained so he can perform his duties well. She then learns that Shirota hasn't eaten anything all day, so she decides to make him a nice meal. She even offers to wear nothing but an apron while cooking, and this makes his fever shoot up even more. He then starts pushing her out of the room, saying she would catch a cold too, and Takamine realizes he's got a point. She then uses her powers to change time, and Shirota finds a warm meal and steamed towels on his table. She then tells him to eat up while she cleans the kitchen, and promises to check up on him after she's done. After she leaves, Shirota realizes that she undid making fun of him, but he cannot understand why she treats him like a puppet on certain days while being kind to him on others. After the meal, as he lies in bed wondering if she's kind to him for selfish reasons, Takamine returns to clear his table. As he closes his eyes to rest, she suddenly crawls into his bed, claiming she needs to keep his body warm. When Shirota protests, she uses her powers again and reveals that she made sure not to sweat too much during gym class, so she smells nice. Shirota says he was not protesting because of it, so she asks him if he had preferred it if she smelled like sweat. Shirota gets a little annoyed because she's making fun of him again, but she cuddles up to him and says she's just doing what she needs to make him feel better. As Shirota's heart races, she leans closer and tells him to just use her as a heat source. But the guy is losing it because he's lying next to the hottest girl in his school. Takamine gently says that she has gone too far in teasing him and came off as unkind, and for that, she is sorry. She then buries his face into her jugs and tells him that the body releases oxytocin when skin touches skin, and it will help him relax. Since she's going so far for him, she wants to use this opportunity to sleep instead of thinking about sussy stuff. At that moment, Shirota realized that he didn't feel anything but safe, and she is genuinely a good person who cares a lot about him. As he's dozing off, he asks her if her being nice is like a carrot on a stick, and Takamine nervously asks which one he would prefer. Just then, she realizes he's already fallen asleep, so she pulls him closer to keep him warm. Later, as she's walking home, she notices some boys playing and recalls how she had no friends growing up. Then one day, she fed a stray cat and befriended Shirota because he would often feed the same cat. At present, Takamine returns home to the same cat named Kuro, whom she has adopted. Takamine then told Kuro she would never go so far for Shirota if she didn't care about him. Admitting that this sassiness is just an act, that night, Shirota wakes up to a text from Takamine, telling him that she's left food in the fridge. While eating, he recalls how caring Takamine was today, and this makes him feel shy. The following day, Takamine asks Shirota if he's finished his assignment, but Shirota says he hasn't because the due date is after summer break. She then reminds him that he'll be taking extra lessons during the break and won't have time for the assignment. She also agrees to help him complete it, but in return, he must proclaim that he'll serve her for the rest of his life. Shirota realizes his grades will drop if he doesn't complete the assignments, so he decides to complete them during classes without Takamine's help. Takamine asks if he learned to do things on his own during that race, and he nervously says yes. Later in class, Shirota is secretly doing his assignment when Takamine is called to the board to write something. However, the teacher accidentally bumps into him and ruins her perfect writing, prompting her to use her powers. However, she refrains from using them and salvages the mistake, leaving Shirota stunned. Later, Shirota overhears a girl thanking Takamine for recommending a watch for her boyfriend, and Shirota realizes she's an expert even in this department. The girl then tells Takamine that a new model of that watch was just announced, and Takamine contemplates using her powers. However, she suddenly stops and tells the girl that she can exchange the one she bought for a newer model, which confuses Shirota. During art class, Takamine tried using her powers again but stopped, and Shirota noticed that she looked exhausted. After classes, he feels relieved as he finally turns in his assignment, but then he stops Takamine limping in the halls. He approaches her to ask if she's okay because she hasn't used her powers even once, and Takamine bluffs that she's just got a cold. Shirota sees through her lie and realizes she was holding back so he could finish his assignment, so he asks her to redo the entire day. She continues to pretend that everything went as she planned today, but Shirota can see from the state of her body that she's tweaking. She then says it was her choice not to redo the day, but if he wants her to use her powers so badly, he must remove her plot covers by himself. She then reminds him that if she redid the entire day, the assignments he worked so hard on would be wiped out. But Shirota says it's fine because he's already done them once, and it'll be much easier the second time. He also adds that he likes her more when she's not holding back, so Takamine starts blushing and slowly raises her skirt. Shirota then extends his hands with his eyes closed and plans to redo the entire day, but he finds himself merely seconds into the past. Takamine then tells him that she undid only the part where she relied on him to remove her plot, and Shirota smiles, knowing that she would never give up being a badass. As they walk down the stairs, Takamine reminds Shirota that he has more assignments pending, and she will help him once the summer break starts. Shirota tries to tell her that he can do it on his own, but Takamine refuses to listen and walks away. A few days later, Shirota finds himself in Takamine's room working on his assignments. She notices he's made the same mistake multiple times, so she uses her powers to restart the lesson so he can stop being an idiot. She then leaves to make coffee for him, and in passing, she tells him his parents won't return until the day after tomorrow. This makes Shirota's heart race, and when he makes the same mistake on his assignment, she removes her melon wraps to revert time. After a few hours, Takamine teases Shirota by asking if he is intentionally being slow, so he can have a sleepover and give her backshots at night. She then reminds him that she has a cat who would protect her Vicard, and Shirota wishes to see it because he loves cats. Takamine agrees to chopin the kitty and leaves the room, only to return wearing cat ears. She goes deep into the cat roleplay and starts teasing Shirota so much that he can't focus on his assignment. She then notices that his ears are red from embarrassment, so she finally cuts him some slack. By night, he finally finishes his work and is about to leave, only to see that it's raining outside, and it won't stop until tomorrow morning. Takamine doesn't want him to get sick, so she asks him to stay the night, and Shirota decides to sleep in the hall. However, Takamine suggests he uses the guest room, and even offers to wash his back in case he wants to shower. Afterward, she introduces him to Kuro the cat, and Shirota immediately falls in love with it. Just then, the lights go out, and Takamine suggests they wait it out in her room. She then asks Shirota to tell her a fun story, and when Shirota blanks out, she asks him to share stories of the time he was fresh out of diapers. Shirota says he used to visit a friend's house to play games, but Takamine is more interested in another story. She then asks if he wants some water, and when he says yes, she chugs down the entire bottle in front of him and asks him to lick the spilled water from the floor. Shirota doesn't understand why she's acting so angry and assumes it's because his stories of the past aren't intriguing enough for her. He then asks if he can use the shower, but Takamine leaves the room and returns wearing a towel, saying he can't use the shower because all the towels are used up. She then lies on her bed with her back facing Shirota, and he tries hard to remember a story that will cheer her up. Then suddenly, he remembers one day when he met a girl around his age, and they both took care of a stray cat, which makes Takamine turn towards him. He recalls how it was raining once, and he ran with a towel to where the cat usually lived. But he saw that the girl was already there with a towel and an umbrella. Takamine asks why he didn't start with that story, and Shirota says it's because it has a bad ending. Turns out, the girl in question was Takamine, and she had confessed her feelings to Shirota. However, he couldn't give her an answer at that time, so she ran away and never returned to the park. He never saw Takamine again, even when he tried to look for her, and now he regrets not giving her an answer. Takamine then asks him what he would do if he met that girl again, and Shirota assumes Takamine is friends with that girl. Despite being annoyed, she feels flattered that he remembers the story, but all the flattery leaves her body when she hears thunder outside. She subconsciously drops her towel and jumps on Shirota, which makes him realize she was purposely delaying his assignment because she didn't want to be alone at night. As she lies on top of him, she decides to use her powers to undo it, but when he reminds her that he will retain his memories, she demands that he forget about this incident. After the power is restored, Takamine decides to make dinner, but Shirota asks her not to do anything special for him. She angrily says she never said anything about cooking for him, but then says she'll let him have the leftovers. Following that, she proposes they play a game in which they have to role-play as newlyweds, and whoever breaks character first must remain a virgin for the rest of their lives. When Shirota says that's too big a stake, she reminds him that he's already a loner and nothing much will change for him. After she leaves the room, Shirota follows and is greeted by her creamy cakes, which make him break character immediately. She lets him off the hook since it was his first time and insists that he must act like her husband. Shirota then calls her by her first name and shyly tells her to put something on, so she pokes her buns in his direction and tells him to help her. After giving her plot armor, he begins helping her in the kitchen, but his eyes keep diverting towards her body, so he ends up burning the broth. Takamine uses her powers to reverse time, and with her help, he manages to create something edible. As they sit together, Takamine decides to feed him with her own hands, insisting that this is what married couples do. Just then, the broth spills on her thigh, and Takamine suggests he licks it up, which makes him nervous. She says she put in so much effort into making this soup and wouldn't want it to go to waste, and Shirota contemplates doing it. However, she uses her powers at the last second to make it so it never spilled on her, and when Shirota asks how he used her powers without any plot cover, she shows him one of her pasties. After finishing the food, Takamine decides to hit the shower, and Shirota says he'll do the dishes in the meantime. However, she reminds him that newlyweds bathe together, but Shirota still refuses to join her. Later, he's alone in the bath when Takamine suddenly walks in, and Shirota starts freaking out, saying she's taken it too far. However, Takamine reveals she's wearing a bathing suit underneath, but it's sussier than her commando mode. He then begs her to wait until he's finished, but Takamine is still role-playing as his wife and offers to wash his back. She then tells him that she's merely using him as a mannequin for practice, and he must abide to repay her for the food. Shirota finally agrees to let her do what she wants while telling himself that he won't let the sun rise on his south pole. When Takamine leans in, Shirota is on the verge of busting and starts counting prime numbers to keep himself occupied. Just then, he feels Takamine's melons poking his back and turns around, only to see her holding soft cushions to prevent touching. With that, she proceeds to wash his back and then comes to the front, insisting that he let her wash his hair. Shirota knows he has no choice, so she lets her do as she pleases as she applies shampoo in his hair. Takamine then apologizes for applying a woman's shampoo to his head, and Shirota goes off because his hair smells like hers now. He suddenly tries to push her back and ends up getting hands-on with her cushion, causing him to quickly hide in the bathtub. At first, Takamine is confused, but then she notices that he's got an extra bone and immediately bolts out of the shower. Later, Shirota is in the guest room, wondering what got into Takamine earlier when she suddenly barges in and gets on top of him. She then asks him if he's understood what she means to him, making him think she's trying to be a softie. However, she follows up by saying she's a higher being who holds the reins of his life, making Shirota realize she's being extra bossy because she showed him her vulnerable side earlier. A few days later, they are tasked to patrol the fireworks festival, and Shirota breaks up when he sees Takamine in the yukata. After a short survey, she asks Shirota to reload her thighs, stating that she came from home in commando mode. Shirota gets flustered as he looks around for a discreet spot, but Takamine tells him to do it right here as no one is paying attention to them. When he hesitates, she pretends that her sandal strap is broken, and she needs his help fixing it, which allows Shirota to perform his closet duty. Afterward, she suggests they find a spot to watch the fireworks, but as they are walking, People assume they are a couple. Shirota starts imagining how Takamine will act high and mighty if she hears people mistaking them as lovebirds, and his thoughts drift to how this night would end if they were actually dating. He is brought back to reality by the sound of fireworks, and Takamine decides to redo the walk so she can check a different area. They head to an area filled with couples, and Shirota sees one kissing, which makes him nervous. When Takamine suggests they take a break here, Shirota assumes she plans to make him do freaky stuff like the other couples. As the fireworks go off, she asks him to reload her again, as everyone is busy watching the fireworks. With that, they continue to check several other areas and find no signs of trouble. Shirota notices that her mood is off, so he approaches her to ask if she's okay. He runs his pea-brain to recall how she took him to all those spots, maybe because she wants to spend time with him, and wonders if she is expecting him to confess to her. He then looks at her face and realizes it's stoic as usual, which confuses him even more. When the fireworks start, she asks him what he thinks of them, and Shirota says they're pretty, which makes her laugh. With that, they decide to go home, and Shirota still doesn't understand why she kept redoing the time. A few days later, Takamine calls Shirota to let him know that they'll be visiting Ogaku University, because she wants to see if it's up to her standard or not. Shirota agrees to accompany her, but he isn't sure if he can enroll in such a prestigious university. Takamine asks what her plans are for the future, and when he says he isn't sure, she corrects him that the only right answer is that he follow her wherever she goes like a good little puppy. She adds that she wants him to continue being her closer, and Shirota knows that's only possible if he either enrolls in the same university as her or becomes a NEET. Afterward, she tells him she has something to show him and turns her camera on, and Shirota sees her looking like a hoe. She says she bought a new open plot cover and wanted to try it, but Shirota wonders why she didn't do it in the changing room. She says she bought it online because the receptionist was too shy to sell her such stuff. And it's also Shirota's fault because when they went shopping, he picked the sussiest pair for her. She then shows him what the undies look like, and this makes Shirota pop a vein in his head. As he covers his face, she tells him he will be able to see more of her if he enrolls in the same university as her. When he asks what she means, Takamine narrates a story of how she will be forced to join a club on her first day and wouldn't realize that it'd be about clapping. She would eventually find her inner Bonnie Blue and start making OnlyFans, and that's how Shirota will see more of her. When Shirota asks him not to joke about such stuff, she gives him an unplotted view of her jugs and asks him to join the same university as her so he can protect her from becoming a thought. Just then, her cat Kuro drops the phone, and Takamine quickly ends the call, telling Shirota that he'll be punished if he fails to get into Ogaku University. The following day, Shirota meets Takamine outside the university, and as they take a walk around campus, all the boys keep ogling her. She then notices that Shirota is staring at her too, so she reminds him that his focus should be on the university rather than her jiggle buns. She then says her quality of life here depends on Shirota, because if he doesn't make it here, she'd be forced to do the dirty work on her own. Someone can totally film her and blackmail her, and she will end up becoming the #1 most searched person on a certain website. Shirota says that can't happen because she can always undo the day, and Takamine realizes he's a boring idiot who can't even play along. She once again asks him what his plans are for the future, adding that he doesn't have to butter her up by saying he wants to follow her footsteps. Shirota then says he was thinking of working, which shocks Takamine. She asks if there is a solid reason, and he responds that he doesn't want to become a burden to his family. Despite being moved, Takamine tells him to find a part-time job as he needs to prioritize being her closet. After that, they head to the information center where the professor gives a speech about all the reasons why their institute is better than the others. In the end, Takamine bluntly asks him what the benefits are of graduating from here, and the guy tells him about a certificate of merit, which helps land a good job. After this, she suddenly goes into a deep thought, and then starts using her powers, declaring that she wants to do it again. She then asks the same question again and tells Shirota that she just wanted to rephrase her question. After that, she asks him to perform his closet duties, explaining how there is no chance for anyone to spot them as they are sitting in the back. Shirota then gets on his knees and quickly puts them on her, but she scolds him because he didn't do it properly. To punish him, she locks his face between her twin towers and makes him redo it until he gets it right. Later, as they walk home, Shirota asks if it was really necessary to use her powers, and she says she just wanted to get the most out of him because he will have to retire if he gets a job. Earlier, she had told him that he would continue to be her closer, even if he lands a job, but she claims she was joking. She then says there's still over a year left before he retires, and she's gonna suck his soul out by then. At that moment, Shirota realizes that although he was forced into this role, having an end in sight makes him sad. The next day, all students are asked to attend school, And as Shirota runs into Takamine on the way, as she begins dissing him, he notices that all the guys behind Takamine are ogling her more than usual, only to learn that Takamine is having a little wardrobe malfunction. He quickly blocks the view and tells her about the skirt situation, but Takamine claims she did it intentionally because this is the new TikTok trend. When Shirota looks at her like she's had a screw loose, she puts her skirt down and calls him vanilla before walking off. Shirota can't believe she would make a blunder like this, only to see that she's also missing one of her socks. She then struggles to open the counter door at the station, which makes Shirota worry about her health. While on the train, Shirota assumes she's having an off day, and her mistakes might ruin her perfect image. As they reach the train stop, he also notices that Takamine forgot to wear her plot armor and keeps staring at her melons. This makes Takamine realize her mistake, but she keeps pretending that everything is intentional. Just then, her shirt gets stuck in the door, and the buttons pop off. And Shirota immediately recalls her saying that anyone who sees her jugs is unaffected by her powers. As he instinctively covers them with his hands, Takamine redoes the entire day, and Shirota finds himself back in his room. The following day, Shirota believes Takamine's become a mess ever since he told her about his plans to work. He doesn't want her to become a clumsy idiot like him, so he decides to attend cram school in hopes that he can get into the same university as her. Just as he steps in, he bumps into a hot blonde who asks him if he's Shirota, leaving him confused. Once he confirms his name, she immediately pulls him into a hug and introduces herself as Ellie. After signing up for the cram school, Shirota meets Ellie outside, and they recall how it's been 5 years since they last saw each other. Ellie claims he hasn't changed at all except for his height, because she used to be taller than him. Shirota then recalls how he used to play with her when they were young until they went to different schools. He then compliments her fashion sense, and Ellie calls herself a model in the making. She then asks him if he's free, and when he says yes, she takes him back to the park where they used to play. The park brings back a lot of memories, even the one where Shirota met a young Takamine. Ellie then runs to the slide and excitedly shouts at Shirota to try it with her, making him realize she's still the same person. She also shows him a water fountain, which reminds him of the water balloon fights they used to have. When Shirota says those used to be fun, she suggests they do it again, and the loser has to get an ice cream for the winner. Shirota is hesitant because he's a grown-up now, so he makes the excuse that they don't have balloons. Ellie immediately runs to the store and brings a full pack, so Shirota finally gives in and agrees to make her wet. She then puts on her game face and fills up a balloon, but she pours so much water into it that it ends up exploding on her. When Shirota returns with a towel, she tells him it'll dry fast because she's not wearing her plot covers. Shirota already has one psycho shawty in his life, so he tells Ellie to just wait at the sitting area while he grabs ice cream from the store. On his way, he imagines how Takamine would scold him if he saw her with Ellie, but he suddenly stops to ask himself why he's thinking of her. When he returns, Ellie unplots herself to show that she's already dried out, and Shirota nervously tells her to stop being a sussy bacon. She casually tells him she's comfortable around him because their friendship transcends gender, but he still feels weird because they are older now. As they sit down, she asks which university he plans to attend, but Shirota says he might not attend any. She then asks why he's joining cram school, so he tells her that someone special expects him to join the same university as them, and he wants to work hard so he doesn't disappoint them. Ellie asks if he's talking about his girlfriend, but Shirota immediately panics and says no. Ellie then figures he must be in love with this girl, and she must be in love with him too, because she invited him to her university. Shirota says this girl only sees her as a tool, but Ellie knows there's more to it because he's trying so hard for her. Just then, some of her ice cream spills on Shirota's neck, and she casually licks it up before realizing she's not supposed to do that to boys. Shirota starts to panic, wondering what limbo he'd be in if Takamine saw him right now, only to hear his voice in the background. He then realizes she's standing right behind him, and while she gives him the look, Ellie obliviously asks Shirota if this gorgeous girl is his friend. She then shames Shirota for being a sussy boy in public, but Shirota anxiously asks her why she's here. However, she flips the question and asks him what he was doing, so Ellie tells her they were just playing with balloons. Takamine mistakes the balloons for willy wrappers, so she confidently claims that Shirota doesn't have the guts to use these, only to get shocked when he confirms it. Ellie then invites her to play with them in a three-way, but Takamine starts imagining a different kind of three-way. As Ellie leaves to fill up the balloons, Takamine slaps Shirota for being a shameless simp and gives an elaborate speech on chastity. Ellie then returns and clears the misunderstanding that they were just having a balloon fight before asking her if she's Takamine because they used to be in gym class together. Takamine then remembers that she's the energetic girl who used to play with Shirota, so she completely flips her attitude and asks them to act like adults, or people will get the wrong idea. She then turns to leave, but Ellie asks her to stay for a bit and sends Shirota to grab drinks for them. Afterward, Ellie apologizes to Takamine, explaining that she's been in a girls' school for so long that she forgot how to act around boys. She also believes she crossed a boundary by diddling with the person Takamine loves, but Takamine claims Shirota is nothing but a servant. When Shirota returns, Takamine asks Ellie not to say anything to him, so Ellie decides to give them privacy by leaving abruptly. Shirota then tells Takamine he ran into Ellie at cram school, the one he signed up for, so he can continue to be her closet even in university. Hearing this makes her blush, and instead of making fun of him, she praises him for working so hard and promises to help him pass the entrance exams. When Shirota says he doesn't want to bother her, she uses her powers to reverse time and teaches him how to say thank you without sounding like a wuss. She then follows it up by gently telling him that it's not a bother and she's doing it to repay his efforts. After that, she extends her hand so he can hold it as she tells him that she is going to take him home for a study session. That evening, while he's working on his assignment, Kuro comes to play with him, but Takamine scolds him for getting distracted. However, deep down, she is delighted that he wants to go to university just because of her. A few days later, after cram school, Shirota and Ellie the building when Takamine arrives and suggests they hang out somewhere. Ellie tells them about a family restaurant nearby that she often goes to, and they decide to go there. Shirota is worried about Takamine because of what happened at the park, but a hot waiter named Rurika suddenly arrives to take their order. Turns out, Ellie is friends with this girl and orders a mountain of fries, after which the girl tells her she'll be off shift in an hour. After their order arrives, Takamine asks Shirota how his cram school was, and Shirota tells her he's feeling himself getting better. He's also relieved to have Ellie in his class because she helps him calm his nerves. Ellie excitedly mentions how she and Shirota used to do homework together when they were young, which makes Takamine a little jealous. She mischievously suggests Shirota likes being surrounded by chicks because he so desperately wanted to study with her just the other day. Ellie fails to take a hint and wishes she were there too, but Takamine tells her Shirota is a diddler who forced her to cosplay as a cat to fulfill his freaky fetishes. Ellie once again fails to grasp the situation and suggests they hold a group study and even a sleepover. When Shirota says no to the sleepover, Ellie reminds him of how they used to have those all the time back then. Hearing this, Takamine tells Ellie that sleepovers with Shirota are dangerous because he turns into Johnny Sins at midnight, but Ellie doesn't even know who that is. When Shirota asks Takamine why he's lying, she says she doesn't want Ellie to think he's the same guy he once was because she knows him better than Ellie. Later, before they part ways, Takamine asks Ellie to protect her V-card around Shirota, and Ellie strangely asks to talk to her in private. Once in the back, Ellie apologizes to Takamine because she thinks Takamine is worried about her making moves on Shirota. She also apologizes for recounting the old times when they used to have sleepovers, believing it made Takamine jealous. Before Takamine can say anything, she makes it clear that she and Shirota are just friends, and she is already dating someone. She then jokingly says that she would rather date Takamine than Shirota, but their conversation is interrupted when Rurika shows up. Ellie then leaves with her hand in hand, and Takamine realizes Ellie is a scissor sister who plays for the other team. Afterward, Takamine reunites with Shirota and tells him she and Ellie talked about how desperate he is to get laid. She also admits she's been suspicious of Ellie for no reason, which confuses Shirota. Meanwhile, Ellie is getting scolded by her girlfriend for flirting with Takamine, but Ellie tells her they're just friends. Takamine then reveals that Ellie left her with some balloons the other day and asks Shirota if he wants to play with them. She ups the stakes by saying that whoever gets more hits gets to make one demand from the loser, but Shirota decides to miss because he doesn't want to drench her. Surprisingly, she jumps in front of his throw and purposely gets drenched, but this makes her plot armor visible. Shirota recalls how Ellie wasn't wearing any to begin with back then, but Takamine suddenly towers over him, wondering what he's thinking about. When she realizes he is thinking about Ellie, she hurls several balloons at him and ends the game. Afterward, she reminds him that he has to follow one command from her, and she orders him to clean her like a cat. Shirota realizes Takamine is trying to replicate what Ellie did to him here, and he hesitates because they are in a public park. She tells him there's no one else here and also that he already did this with Ellie, so it shouldn't be a problem. Shirota gives up resisting and asks if she'd like him to clean her neck, but she says her neck is already clean, and he must pick a different spot. Shirota's heart begins to race as he imagines tasting her holy water, and in the end, he decides to perform his duties on her belly. After he's done, Takamine teases him by naming him Leaky-ta-kun and says she made him do it because she wanted to spend time with him. However, she vaguely admits that she also wanted to override his memories of this park with Ellie, but her plans fail when Shirota collapses from a high fever. Then on the last day of summer break, Takamine takes Shirota to a leisure facility of her choosing because she wanted to reward him for finishing cram school. She also wanted to help him study, so Shirota took it upon himself to repay her for her help. As they begin walking, she asks him where he wants to go, and Shirota suggests buying a drink from a nearby cafe. Takamine then reveals she has 2 drink coupons, and she'll treat him, but Shirota disappears before she finishes speaking. He returns seconds later with black drinks and says it'll be his treat since she invited him here, but Takamine reverts time and tells him she wants vanilla. She then hands him the drink coupons and hides behind a house as she tells him to perform his closet duties. Afterward, Shirota suggests they hit up a Nordic general store, and once there, Takamine begins looking at fancy items. She then grows a liking towards a plushie, and Shirota uses this chance to excuse himself to the bathroom, when in reality, he left to get it for her. Before he can show it to her, Takamine claims to have gotten over the plushie. At him here, it's time and coldly tells him she would rather choke on a glizzy than accept alms from him. Afterward, they head to the docks because Shirota wants to ride a boat as he's never been on one. As he's rowing, Takamine shyly says it's her first time too, and offers to take the rose from him because he looks tired. When Shirota tells him he's fine, she suddenly jumps into the water and then gets back on the boat, claiming she slipped. She then reverts the time to before they got on the boat, but Shirota can't seem to find her anywhere. He looks around and sees her putting her plot armor on by herself nearby. When he asks her why she did it herself, she gets nervous and says she got tired of waiting for him. As she begins walking, Shirota feels bad because he wanted to repay her, but he's just made her upset. When he apologizes, Takamine tells him he doesn't need to put up a big front for her. She adds that she wants to be the one to repay him for his hard work during summer break, and that's when he realizes why she's been acting weird all day. Shirota thanks her for it, but also adds that she doesn't need to go the extra mile because she is already treating him well enough. He admits that he's become much more confident because of her and even looked into this place for things she can enjoy, and that alone is enough to make him happy. Takamine calls him cocky for thinking he can make her happy, but deep down, she feels flattered that he's being so nice to her. She then asks him to take her to the next thing on his list, and the two start walking. A few days later, Shirota is on his way to Takamine's house for a study session, and randomly runs into Ellie. When she learns where he is headed, she badgers him into letting her join as well, but Takamine is not happy because she wanted to be alone with Shirota. When Ellie asks her to teach him math, Shirota worries she might explode any second now. Takamine then asks Ellie why she didn't tell her girlfriend to teach her, and Ellie casually says Rurika is busy with her job and barely gives her any time, while Shirota is fixated on the fact that Ellie has switched sides. He then notices how Ellie is purposely getting closer and touching Takamine, and it makes him wonder if Ellie came here to get spanked by Takamine. While he's having his inner monologue, Takamine suddenly tells him to grab some snacks from the store. Shirota starts to worry that Ellie might do freaky stuff if he leaves her alone with Takamine, but when she gives him a cold look, he immediately runs out. Afterward, Takamine immediately tells Ellie to go home because she can't help two people study at once, and Ellie agrees to go if she tells her whether she's dating Shirota or not. She replies that she would never date someone as ugly as him, and even asks Ellie not to shove her imagination on her. Ellie thinks she's bluffing and says that she feels bad for Takamine because Shirota is a dummy. She adds that he's got low self-esteem, which is why he would never see hints, and Takamine agrees that the dense idiot is running on a hamster on wheels instead of a brain. She also makes up a lie that a friend of hers had a crush on another guy who wouldn't take any hints, but Ellie knows she's talking about her own feelings for Shirota. She plays along and asks Takamine what this friend did to win the guy over, and learns about the cat cosplay, as well as the shower incident. She also says that this friend of hers is extremely gorgeous, and Ellie gets upset knowing that the guy is not already falling for her. Ellie then asks if he ever did anything nice for the girl, and Takamine tells her about the time Shirota ran to the park at night because he was worried about her safety. She then tells him about the time he was ready to redo the assignments just so she could feel better, and even their trip to a leisure facility where he planned the whole day for her. But the most heartwarming thing he did was work extra hard to get into the same university as her, and hearing this makes Ellie have a cuteness overload. Takamine worries that these actions may not be a result of love, but a moral obligation. But Ellie believes no one would do such things for a person they didn't have feelings for. Takamine still keeps up the act and tells Ellie that she will pass this message to her friend. She then asks if Ellie came here to talk to her about this or to fondle her jugs, and Ellie panics because she didn't think Takamine would notice her intentions. Takamine then says she would let her play with her cushions if she just asks, not knowing that Shirota has just made it back to the house. Standing outside the room, he hears a strange noise coming from the inside. As he leans in, he hears Ellie describing the squishy nature of Takamine's pom-poms, and this makes his imagination go wild. He then hears Ellie making happy noises and wonders what in the fork is going on in the room, not knowing that the girls are merely playing with Kuro. A few days later, Takamine is walking to school with Shirota and complains that she brought her umbrella even though the rain has stopped. However, she's also relieved it stopped because she didn't want to get drenched. She also says her summer uniform would become see-through if she used her powers a lot, but that's not the case with her winter outfit. Shirota then realizes she probably went commando the entire last winter, and it makes him flustered. Seeing this, Takamine starts teasing him and then suggests they play a game, asking him to turn around. She then uses her powers to reverse time and make it so she didn't bring her umbrella, but then she asks him to guess which plot piece she used for her power. Shirota has to figure it out until they reach the station, and the loser will follow one command by the winner. She adds that if she won, she would sew his eyes and mouth shut and force him to only hear his voice for the rest of his life. As they begin walking, Shirota starts brainstorming ways to find the right answer and realizes he can look up her fountain when she walks over a puddle. However, he stops himself from looking in case she is going commando and later answers that she used her peach protectors instead. Takamine shows him that she still has it on, which means she used the other thing, and Shirota stays silent because he didn't want her to think he saw her roasted beef. Takamine says she's disappointed he got it wrong because she walked over puddles many times to show him her cookie, and Shirota panics as he realizes she was doing it intentionally. As they board the train, she tells him about the cultural festival and that they have to put on a Cinderella play. Shirota says he'd just be in the back because he has stage fright, and Takamine recalls he didn't participate in the play last year as well. This time, Takamine wants to be on stage so he can perform his closet duties in case she needs to use her powers. Later in class, she begins casting roles for the play, and everyone agrees that she should be Cinderella. She then asks who wants to be a stagehand, and when Shirota raises his hand, she angrily steps on the desk and uses her powers. She then starts the meeting again and asks Shirota to take notes for her this time. As he walks to the blackboard, she starts poking his joystick with her buns, and Shirota realizes she wants him to perform his closet duties in front of everyone. She then asks the class to volunteer for the prince's role, and several other guys, including the class's popular boy, OG, take an interest. Shirota realizes that OG will definitely win the vote, but since he's kind of a playboy, Shirota volunteers as well to save Takamine from becoming OG's plaything. She then decides to open a vote, and OG embarrasses Shirota by scoring all the votes. On the way home, Shirota asks Takamine if she will now make OG her new closet man, but she tells him no. She then asks Shirota why he applied for the role of Prince's guard after losing, and he says it's because he wants to be one stage in case she needs him. Takamine says this was her plan all along, which makes Shirota wonder who voted for him because he had one vote. One day before the festival, Takamine rehearsed the play with the cast after class and even motivated others to be a part of it. Just then, a girl asks for help in preparing backdrops, so Takamine asks everyone who is free to join. Shirota is hesitant, thinking he will only be a bother, but Takamine personally asks him to give her a hand. As she explains what to do, Shirota notices some of his classmates giving him a death stare because they saw Takamine touch him. As he's painting, he wonders why Takamine has started interacting with him publicly now, and this causes him to mess up. Hearing this, Takamine uses her powers and brings them back to before he started. She then hides behind the props and asks Shirota to join her. Once there, she emphasizes that the scene he's painting is very important to the story, and he must make it perfect. She then tells him to get to work, but as he pulls out a plot cover from his bag, he hears someone calling for Takamine. Instead of waiting, she peeks out to listen to what they have to say, all while bending over for Shirota. After he performs his closet duty, she asks everyone again to help with the backdrop, but Shirota tells him that he couldn't load her undies properly. Takamine tells him not to worry as she already took care of it, but also asks him to be quicker next time so it doesn't happen again. She then asks him to help with the backdrops, and everything goes smoothly this time. Everyone works really hard till the sun goes down, after which Takamine asks them to rest and have fun tomorrow. As Shirota packs up to leave, he gets a text from Takamine, who invites him to the rooftop. Upon getting there, Shirota finds the door locked and wonders if he did anything to make her angry, but Takamine casually unlocks the door and takes him to the roof. He is mesmerized by the night sky, and Takamine says she wanted to watch the stars with him. She also adds that since this is her last year in this school, she wanted to stay late and savor the moment. Shirota tells her they will have another festival next year, but she reminds him they will be too busy with entrance exams at that time. She then says he likes the evening before a big event because of the emotional high, and she'll have extra fun this year because of her man closet. Shirota wonders if she invited him so he could feel this emotional high, which prompts him to say that they can have cultural festivals again at the university. He adds that the university usually holds larger festivals, so they might even stay the night to work, which will give them plenty of time to stargaze. He also wants to stay by her side and support her even in university, and hearing this makes her blush. As she goes silent, Shirota wonders if he said something to upset her, but Takamine starts talking about how much she hated Cinderella when she first read it. She reasons that the main lead is passive and doesn't put in effort for the things she wants, but she also feels empty because not having the courage to do what one wants is hard. However, in this moment, she realizes it's the right time to say what she wants, so she gently grabs Shirota's hand and is about to confess. But as she sneezes, the guy suddenly panics and suggests they leave, or she will fall sick and won't be able to act tomorrow. The next day, she suggests they hold a rehearsal before the actual play, but Oji is nowhere to be found. Just then, Takamine notices Shirota sweating bullets, so she grabs his hand and drags him across the hall while everyone watches in shock. She explains that she wants to make him relax because even though he has only 2 lines, she wants to deliver them perfectly. However, Shirota gets more nervous when he sees the guys staring at him and pushes her to enter a spider-themed haunted house. He believes he did the right thing, as no one can see them here. But then he realizes he messed up because Takamine is terrified of spiders. He suggests they turn back, but Takamine's pride gets in the way, and she starts walking ahead, only to get jump scared. She quickly reverts time and claims she was acting scared, so they start walking again. This time, the fake ghost tries to scare Shirota, but Takamine quickly reverts time to make sure he's okay. He tells her this is all fake, so Takamine once again starts acting like it was part of her plan. As they continue walking, Shirota feels grateful that she's doing so much for him, and even finds her reactions cute. Just then, she gets scared by a giant spider and throws herself on Shirota, but when more spiders show up, she screams and starts running. He follows her only to find her stuck in a web with both her cannons on display, so he quickly starts untying her. When he hears a few girls approaching, he starts to panic, because he doesn't want others to see her in this state. Thus, he pretends to be a scary wizard and blocks the view, but the girls find it so lame that they just walk in the other direction. Afterward, Takamine acts like it was all according to her plan, and Shirota just plays along like a middle-aged husband who's too tired of his wife's yapping. As they reach the class, a girl informs Takamine that Oji hasn't shown up and his phone is out of reach too. Just then, Oji walks in looking like he fell from heaven, and even though Takamine can undo it with her powers, she instead suggests a replacement. Since everyone has their role decided, she offers to cut the role that has no impact on the story before pointing towards Shirota, leaving him shocked. Later, the play is about to start, and Ellie is in the audience with her hot goth girlfriend. The curtains roll, and it all starts with Takamine playing the role of Cinderella when she lived in the forest. And Shirota looks like he saw his parents crank it because he's suddenly been given this major role, despite being terrified. He tells himself that he still has time to rehearse, and even though he has a lot of stage time, he doesn't have that many lines. On stage, Cinderella's stepmother asks her to make tea, but when it tastes bad, she spills it on her face. This causes her peach protectors to become visible, which makes all the guys goon in unison. When she's made to mop the floor, all the boys get upset because of the harsh treatment she receives, and the cast backstage is impressed by Takamine's ability to have everyone hooked on her. Then, one day, her stepsisters tell her to clean the house as they go to a ball, but she also wants to join them. However, when she learned that they burned the dress that her real mother had left her, she fell to her knees and became hopeless. Following that, Cinderella starts singing, and her magical voice is answered by a fairy godmother who gives her a makeover. As the scene shifts, it's now time for Shirota to take the stage as the prince, which makes his heart race. Soon after, Cinderella shows up looking like a tasty snack, and seeing her like this calms Shirota's nerves. So when he's called on stage, Shirota collects himself and takes a walk because he wants to support her. However, when he sees dozens of boys giving him the death stare, he can't seem to get a word out. At that moment, Takamine pushes him down and takes off her plot armor on stage, reverting time to before the ball started. She then asks the cast to give her a few extra seconds, and uses this opportunity to scold Shirota for messing up. She angrily asks him why he's paying attention to what the others are saying, because no one expects him to perform well anyway. She then tells him to just focus his eyes on her when he's on stage. which gives Shirota the kick he needs. He then walked on stage and calmly asked her for a dance, and this made Takamine blush for real. After that, Shirota starts visualizing how the lights will go out for a second, and then focus on Takamine so she can sing. When he snaps out of it, he finds his face buried into Takamine's cakes and realizes hiding him under her frock while she gives another musical. He then pulls out a pair from his pocket and starts putting them on her while she sings. But the hardest part for him is to keep up with her dance steps. Eventually, he succeeds in his mission and manages to perform the rest of the act until it reaches its climax. The prince visits her house with the sandal she left and asks for permission to put it on her. Right before the final moments, they hear a scream and look back to find a limping Oji accusing Shirota of being an imposter. Shirota is confused because this was not part of the script until he learns that Oji has lost his mind and he must play along, or the play will be ruined. While Takamine quickly plays along, Shirota realizes that Oji is willing to spoil the play just because he wants to touch Takamine's feet, so he decides to man up for the first time in his life. He then gives a speech, stating that he wouldn't let someone as selfish as Oji have Cinderella. He stands his ground, stating that he will make her happy, and this makes the whole crowd cheer for Shirota. Even Takamine is flattered by his guts, so much so that she kisses him on stage, which leaves everyone shocked. She then decides to run away with Shirota through the crowd, and the crowd goes wild at this new twist in the story. After the play, the girls ask Takamine if she really kissed Shirota, but she tells them it was not real because she was just improvising. At night, as the festival reaches its final stages, Takamine and Shirota watch over from their classroom, glad that it all went well. Takamine even praises Shirota for improvising towards the end, and the fact that she kissed him on stage makes him wonder if it was his reward for being her closet. When he confronts her, she asks why he thinks she kissed him, which makes him nervous. She then says she will kiss him again and again until he gets it, but Shirota nervously says that he understands. She demands an answer from him, and Shirota nervously says she kissed him to reward him, and also because she wants him to continue being her closet during university. Hearing this, Takamine takes him a few seconds into the past and tells him to think of a better answer. But just then, she realizes that the closing ceremony is about to start, and she needs to be there, so she tells him that he'll continue to serve her until he figures it out. She then makes him perform his closet duties and asks him to join her at the closing ceremony, leaving him baffled. Will Shirota ever figure out that Takamine has feelings for him, or will he die a virgin like you guys? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, watch this video on screen.